gotta do is listen. All we gotta do is listen. All we gotta do is listen.
So my sisters, I have older sisters. I was the youngest of, there's 6 of us, but I'm the 5th. And my older sisters are 12 and 13 years older than I am. And they named me, and they named me Araceli. And when I went to school in Stockton, when I entered as a kindergarten, the teacher called me RC. She said, your name's RC, because she couldn't say Araceli. So I was like, okay, that's strange. And then when I moved to Hillsburg in 2nd grade, my teacher said, your name is now Sally. It's not, she couldn't say my name, so she taught me how to write Sally. And so I grew up as Sally. And so that was a really weird experience. It's like, why am I not Araceli? And so, so I grew up as Sally. All my best friends in Hillsburg, everybody knows me as Sally. And I was embarrassed that I spoke Spanish. I was embarrassed that I was born in Mexico. I never told anybody I was born in Mexico. And every time I accomplished something, I would come home and I would tell my dad, be so proud. And I said, but Dad, everyone thinks always asks me if I'm Italian or if I'm Hawaiian. They never ask me if I'm Mexican. And he's like, no, you be proud that you're Mexican. You tell them that Mexicans can do it too. And I never was like, no, I'm not telling him I'm Mexican, because I was embarrassed, and I felt like there was something wrong with me because they changed my name to Sally, they changed my name to RC, and I was invisible for so long, and so, but he always said, you be proud of who you are. He would say, tienes el nopal en la frente, you have a cactus on your forehead, you can't deny your roots, and I would, and I was like, I don't want anybody to know, this is working for me now. And so for a long time, I didn't accept who I was, and I wasn't proud of who I was, but he kept saying that to me, He's like, he would get upset when I would, tell him that I was embarrassed to be Mexican. He's like, you should never be embarrassed of your roots. And he was such a proud man that, that I'm glad that eventually I learned how rich it is to be bicultural, bilingual. But for so long, a lot of people didn't even know I spoke Spanish. And, that's my first language. I was born in Mexico. And so I think that, that kind of his advice, it took me a while to really internalize that, yeah, I should be proud and, I have nothing to be embarrassed about.
My name is Felix Zamora.
I'm Angelina Torres.
I'm Jesus Magana.
My name is Jessica Rodriguez.
And that's the reason why I like what's happening here, creating a safe space to sort of share our respective stories, because that's what's going to be our saving grace. And while a lot has happened in a good way, there's still an immense amount that needs to be done. And that's the reason why I'm proud to say that I co-facilitate a queer elder group out at the Russian River. And it's one of our goals is to find ways to build better bridges with our youth and our up-and-coming leaders. Because you guys are going to be the ones that are going to be making the decisions for us when we're old, and in a wheelchair somewhere. And I have faith that you guys can do it because you guys are a lot less judgmental. You come from a softer space. You come from a space of knowing how wounding it can be when somebody prejudges you and comes after you, just with tone, words, etc. You guys are much more compassionate and open. And what will make us stronger is the fact that we're doing our best to include everybody, the LGBT. I wouldn't say so much the T. We're working on that. The I, people don't even know what it means, intersex, and questioning. We're getting there, but it seems like we're getting there with just white people. I'm just going to say it, because look around. Look who showed up today. Look who consistently shows up. I mean, my partner and I talk about it many times. We're out at a bar, it's just like, we're lucky we see one person of color. I mean, they're there. It's like, but apparently they don't feel safe, and we don't understand the need to push for intersectionality, because just who it is that we identify as and who we go to bed with is just a mere fraction of who we are. And especially in this day and age, with the administration being what it is, with no end in sight, and our queer undocumented friends, I mean, that right now is the key thing that just epitomizes like how much work we still have to do. We should be surrounding, we should know who in our community is at risk, and we should already be like figuring out steps to make sure that at least that part of the community is not just gonna be disappeared, you know? So I think the intersectionality and our youth is what's gonna save the queer community, especially in Sonoma County, because I will say that regardless of what others feel, this is not San Francisco. And I will say it just in the fact that I'm a professional and I've seen it happen with my clients. It's still very white, it's still very male dominated, and it's not as welcoming for everyone in our queer community as we would like, as I would like, so.
I'm Sunshine Hartwell, pronouns he, him.
My name is Elisa Rivas, pronouns they, them.
My name is Chelsea Kernick, pronouns she, her.
Listen. In that time that my son and I walked into to see the devastation, I just remember turning into our street and almost feeling like I was in this movie, surreal horror movie, and almost feeling sort of out of body. Walking towards that plot where my house stood and thinking, there was a house there, my home was there. And I walked towards that part and didn't realize, I don't know how long it took for my son and I to walk there, but I almost felt like I floated there. And we were standing by the driveway, and my son looked at the house, or where the house was, and he broke down. And at that point, I didn't have time to get emotional. My grieving process was, I guess, pretty much walking up to that plot. Because once my son reacted the way he did, my job was to comfort him and comfort everyone else and put everything else aside. Whatever was in that house, I couldn't do anything else about it. So my processing was to shut down emotionally, take care of everybody else, and then move. And that's like sort of been in that state for the better part of this journey. Just go.
I think it's brought a lot of people closer together to talk about the things that really matter and not just go on our day by day, busy schedules without even taking the time to say, hey, let's go have coffee and see how you're doing, So that's one thing that I think out of all of this that's been really a positive.
It's really hard in the beginning because if you're tied to something for so long and instantly it just goes away, you're gonna feel like in a state of shock, like it's not real. And the best thing to do at that time is just to say, it is real, but it's gonna be okay because a lot of other people have done this in their life, and if they can get through that, then I can get through this, and I'm definitely not alone. There's a whole bunch of other people that are going through the same thing.